Mike. Happy birthday, dear Mikey boy. Happy birthday to you. Hip hip.
Hooray.
Hey. Go on, Mike. You gotta blow the candles out. You gotta blow the candles. Hey.
Was that your emergency surprise?
That was my emergency surprise that I really had to run out quickly for.
Well, I appreciate you for that. Oh, because now this is gonna air like a month after my birthday. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know, a few weeks. Maybe. That's close enough. Listen, today of recording is my birthday. I am 36 years old. If you guys were wondering, I know I have a baby face, but so I appreciate that. I got my birthday Aloha shirt on today. I'm feeling fresh. Got nice little trim ski on the.
You're looking sharp, man.
Looking
you're
sharp,
very sharp.
Like a little sharp dressed man. You know what I'm saying? It was a little ZZ Top.
Need the beard for it, my man. Just slightly longer.
A little bit. Yeah, I need to keep going. Well, we are joined by our main man Stu here, Funkybear _mini on the gram. Check him out. Good Stu? Mini content. We've been chit chatting for a while, and I finally convinced him to come on. Finally, I rag on people often, and they're like, no. And then I circle back, I'm like, what if I don't put the video on?
Lure them into a false sense of security, Mike. Well done.
Yeah. Some people are like, well, I don't want to be on camera. I'm like, well, it's like no one watches it anyway.
I always listen to you guys when I'm in the car, and so I didn't know until recently that you had video anyway. So that didn't sway my decision. So we're all good.
Yeah. See, well, so I figured if Spotify started doing the video podcast, might as well jump on it early and do it. Most people do listen to it either in their garage or, like you said, in the car. As do I. I rarely watch video podcasts, but it's good to post the clips, whatever. Some people watch it, I guess. I don't know. Even if they watch it on YouTube, they still listen to it. It's just a good option. People like to watch us jibber jabber for some reason.
For sure.
See what kind of backgrounds we got. So, Stu, I thank you for being on. Before we get rolling, everyone go follow minilife.37 on the gram. And don't forget to follow our partner, Mountainy Classic, on the gram. You can check their website out too, mountainlyclassic.co.uk, and use minilife10 and get a nice little discount for you. But if we get, who knows, by now, time this airing, who knows, we don't know. But if we get them to 2,000 followers or more, they're flying Sean out to the United States of America. God bless America.
You've got the text of Sean today. I'm manifesting, my man. I think at the time we're recording with this, I think we're like 200 followers away. So if we can get 200 follows in less than a month, I can't wait. It's going to be such an epic time. And the content that Mike and I are going to create as well is just going to be phenomenal for all of you guys.
It only benefits the listeners, I think.
It does.
Obviously it benefits Sean because he gets a flight out here, but we have some sweet content coming. Stu, I don't know if you've seen, we have released an first vlog on YouTube that we're going to try to document our journey onto this rally. So I've posted one. Sean's going to start posting his side, so we're going to kind of try to go back and forth. Me getting the car ready for the rally, Sean getting his undies packed up. I don't know.
Hey, I'm gonna iron them in. There's nothing better than wearing ironed underwear. Just throwing it out there. It's a hot take for today.
Is it? Do I have to put like a censorship if I say I don't wear underwear?
I mean, preferences, right?
Yeah, listen, I wear, just it's free.
Oh, dude, I'm going to sit in the car for God knows how many days thinking of that now. Thanks.
I want to have my Hawaiian shirt on and just some swim trunks and some flip-floppies.
No.
We're going on vacation, baby. No. Anyways, yeah, seriously, though, go check them out. Great people. And honestly, we love their product, but we've gotten to know the team at Mountney, and they're fantastic people. Dan is the man, head Mountney in charge. Jody is kind of behind the scenes, marketing, this, that, and the other thing. They're all great people. So we like supporting like-minded individuals and trying to keep anything that we're targeting for partnerships relevant to our listeners. And we're not going to be doing Manscaped or Sleep IQ or some of those cool video games that are on your phone now. Not about it. Not about it.
Nice.
Although I don't think we're big enough. I don't think we're big enough for any of those. But you never know.
Yeah, you never know, man. You never know.
You never know.
Exactly.
All right, enough jibber jabbering. Let's jump into it. Funkybear. I want to start with that, to be honest with you, because that's kind of a fun name. Funkybear. Is that the name of your mini, Stu?
It's not actually. No, that goes back probably about 20 years now to when kind of internet stuff was all kind of taking off, and I decided I wanted to buy a domain name. And so I had a flick through. I was trying to find something that was kind of memorable and quite cool to has an email address and so on. And I can't remember. Funky Monkey, I think, was the one I was looking for. Couldn't find it, so I then looped through a few other animals until I found one that was available. Bear was there, so that was the thing. But the downside, and not to advertise, but there is a company called Funkybear Pizza in the UK, and unfortunately, every now and again, I get complaints about their pizzas coming through to my email. So it's not all good, but it's a cool name all the same.
Oh, the level of trolling that you could do with that right now is
I know.
just incredible.
I was just gonna say, do you respond back like "F off, mate"? Like, oh
Yeah.
man, that's fun. All right, here comes the rabbit holes that we all love and cherish on this show. And there was a guy on the internet who would make specific like usernames on Facebook groups and stuff. And like, let's just say it was Funky Bear Pizza. He would make one like Funky Bear Pizza customer service and go on to the Funky Bear Facebook page, and all the negative things he would like respond like super sarcastic, and people would get so mad. But he's done it for like he would do it like on Walmart and Target, and like he would have the little, and people were falling for it. Oh man.
People have got way too much time on their hands, man. But fair play, how goes after that?
Yeah, it's good. It's so good. But that's pretty funny. I like the name. It's catchy. So does your mini have a name then? If it's not Funky Bear?
No, I was listening to another one of your podcasts where you talked to someone about names of cars. Not something I do really. We had a actually we had a T25 or kind of Vanagon, I guess they call them over your way. An orange one a few years ago, and we named that, and it was orange. It looked like a carrot. There's a comedian over here called Jasper Carrot. We called it Jasper. So, but that's the only vehicle I've ever named. Ever since then, it's just been, yeah. I mean, I've called my Mini a lot of names, none of which I can say on here when I've been working on it recently.
We understand.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the name thing is like sometimes I want to name the car, but it just doesn't come to me.
Yeah,
like it has to come.
Itself.
It has to come. Yeah, it has to come naturally.
definitely.
So yeah, some of mine have had names, some of them have not. Most of them are all male, and then some of them are, like you said, I can't say on air. So, well, let's get into it then a little bit more. How did you get into minis? Where did it stem from? And kind of tell us a little bit of your backstory here.
Sure. So it's an interesting one. I was kind of thinking back about this. I kind of drifted into it rather than kind of specifically aimed for minis, I guess, in some ways. But going back to growing up, I think my first kind of mini, if you like, was a Scale Electric one. So I had a kit which had two Mini Clubmans, and they used to spin around to do 180s, and they were called Mini Ha Ha and the Mad Hatter. And so, yeah, that kind of sowed a seed, I think. Then when I passed my driving test, my dad, who had loads of minis when he was younger, I guess that's the thing over here. Most people you talk to of a certain generation have always had them. My dad said, "Why don't you get a mini as your first car? You can work on it. It's cheap to run. It's easy to drive, no problem." So kind of looked around, and actually, even in those days, going back again to kind of late 90s, it was it was starting to get a little bit more rare to find one that was in sort of half decent condition. So we got close to getting one, but it all felt a little bit scammy towards the end. We kind of turned up to the address that the guy was selling it from, and he wasn't in the house. He was outside in a lay-by near there, and the car was running, and everything just looked a bit dodgy. So we kind of drove on by and left that one. So yeah, that was kind of it for minis until a few years ago. I actually, when we got rid of the van, I was left with a garage. It was a pretty big garage because it was built to accommodate the van. Over the years, filled it with crap, as you do, and the space that I was left to put the new car in was very small. And so the other thing was, I was a big fan of Fiat 500s. So that was always the I didn't know if
I was waiting for that, Mike.
No, those are cool. Those are cool.
I was going to say, you can bleep it out if you want. But so yeah, I basically looked at those, and in those days they were just rocketing in price, and everyone I looked at was an absolute basket case. I mean, people say that minis rust. You look at Fiat 500s, it's a whole new level. So park them out in the rain, go back, you just get a pile of dust on the floor. It's really, really bad. So so having kind of looked at a few of them, and they were all awful, kind of gave up on that. I was a bit despondent, spoke to my dad again, and he said, hey, mini time again. Why don't you start looking at minis? So I thought that's perfect. Small, fits in the garage, easy to work on, nice project. And so I started looking around a website over here called Car and Classic, which, again, in those days was quite small. It's grown quite a lot over the last few years. But there was a guy selling a mini on there. It was Mini Clubman, which, again, was never really intending to get a Clubman. Always just thought it would be a round nose, but saw this Clubman. It was a project that the guy had worked on with his son. So the idea was they were building it together. It was going to be his son's 17th birthday. Here you go. You finished the mini. There you go. And his son turned around about halfway into the project and said, I don't really want a mini. I want a Peugeot or whatever it was in those days. And so his poor dad, having kind of poured sweat and blood into it, at that point kind of gave up and put it up for sale. So we snapped it up. So when I bought it, it was a shell. I had to kind of lift the car onto the trailer and a load of boxes. I didn't take it apart, so I had no idea what was what in all these boxes. The guy's name that I bought it from is called Tiny, and he's probably the biggest person I've ever seen. So there's me and my dad kind of offering to help while this guy physically manhandled this mini onto the trailer. Yeah, so we brought it home, and I had all the intention. So all the welding had been done. It was a solid shell at that point. Needed to be painted, and so I had all these intentions. I was going to kind of learn to weld a bit, do some painting, do the whole thing, and yeah, it didn't really work out like that. So just time got in the way. My daughter was born around that time, so suddenly kind of it wasn't my priority. So yeah, it kind of sat in the garage. I decided to move it on a bit, so I got a company to paint it. Shout out to Surrey Auto Works, actually, who did a fantastic job of painting it up for me. They returned it one day. It was like my birthday, where they kind of lifted this painted shell off the back of a lorry and put it in the garage, and it was a proud moment. It's going to move on from here, and it did. It ticked over, built up the suspension, subframes all rebuilt, got it as a rolling shell. Started on bits of the interior. Didn't really know the state of the engine because it arrived with me on a supermarket trolley. That was what the guy used to move it around with. So basically, it kind of sat in my garage on this trolley for a long time. Didn't know what state it was in, but had it there. Got to a point where every time I went out into the garage, I looked at this Mini and thought, I'm just getting depressed with this thing because I'm not moving it on. And I'd have, an hour or two here and there, and I'd go out to the garage and I'd go, right, I've got 2 hours. What do I do? Hold up the piece of paper with this list of jobs that I needed to do, and just couldn't get started with it. So having gone quite a long way with it, I, in the end, decided to just give it over to someone that knew what they were doing a bit better, and go it to a company called ML Motorsports down in Kent in the UK. And Andy there did a fantastic job of putting it together. Took him 2 weeks from when I handed it to him. He gave me the call, said it's all good to go, MOT'd, on the road, come and pick it up. So that was it. That was kind of the start of mini life for me.
Wow. What I might have missed that, but what kind of time frame was this? Like how long ago was this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it was off the road for 8 years in total. So the guy that bought it as a project took it off the road in I
Uh-huh.
think 11 or 12. He
Uh-huh.
had it for 2 years. I then bought it. I had it for 8 years before it actually went back on the road again. So yeah, it
Wow.
was a lengthy thing, and it was great. It was great to get it done and get it back on the road. Felt like a real achievement. And obviously, a lot of these cars
Yeah.
just kind of go and die, and it was great to kind of bring one back from the brink and be able to put it back on the road. So,
Yeah. That's I actually really love that kind of story, and I always forget because mine's kind of been on the road from for the last few years here, but like realistically, I think mine was off the road for about the same amount of time too, and it was
right.
just gonna go to rot away. The whole rear end was just done and dusted, and it's really cool to see it back on the road, saving it. And Sean, Sean was off the road for 18 years, right, Sean?
18 years, and I got it on the road for a year, and it's back off the road and in 1,000 pieces yet again. So we're 19 years and counting at the moment.
But
I'm
no,
not
no,
counting last
no,
year.
you start it back over. It's only been off for a few months now.
It's
You
almost been
start
off
the
for a
clock.
year.
You start the clock back over, man. Right? Because
Oh,
if
dude,
you
no.
had it MOT'd and back on the road and registered or whatever you guys do over there, you
Yeah.
start the clock over again.
I don't know. I think year and a half of driving it, I don't think that counts, to be totally honest, because every day it broke down anyway. So I don't think it counts. I think Stu's, got it down to a T where you just hand it to somebody and go, please sort it.
Yeah.
that man, the amount of times I thought about that, and at the time I was in Hawaii, so I don't think there was too many people that.
Mm.
I mean, clearly there's capable mechanics there, but none of them I think had ever seen like a classic Mini. So that's yeah. So I bit the bullet and did a lot of things wrong and fixed it. But here we are, hosting a mini podcast. We are mini professionals now.
Right?
It's
Crickets.
great though, 'cause, like, you learn that stuff as you go, and it makes it so much easier to kind of maintain it once you've done it once. So what
Yeah.
I'm going through at the moment, I had a slight kind of knock and a slight pulling to the side at the end of last year because I put it away over the winter generally. So and
Sure.
when I pulled it back out, I said, look, it's not going back out on the road until I sort those things. And you start digging into it. Okay, I'll replace the ball joints. Okay, start doing that. One of the bearings is rubbish. I have to pop that out as well. Doing that process of taking the hubs off was just a complete pain, obviously, because the whole thing with the flexi lines, having to unwind the hub and spraying brake fluid all over the drum. So now I've got to do new shoes, and so the whole thing just kind of escalates. And that's having done it. It still takes some time. I think in the first place, when I was trying to put it all together, my biggest problem was I had all these boxes and had no idea what the things were in them. I remember at
Yeah.
one point I kind of put everything out on a huge sheet of wood with a photo from above of it and posted it on the mini forum and said, guys, can you help me out here? What is this stuff? And one of the guys
Yeah.
was brilliant, and he literally went through every bit and said what it was. And half of it was, that's a broken engine mount, put that in the bin. That's not for a
Yeah.
mini, throw that away. So, eventually you end up with the right stuff. But even then it was, which bolts do I need to put this on here? And all that kind
Mm.
of stuff
Yeah.
is, when you haven't taken it apart, putting it back
Yeah.
together is so hard.
100%. I love those posts. I still see them every once in a while. There was a guy recently in one of our Facebook groups that he was like, all right, guys, help me out. And he was like, circle it 1, 2. And it was the same thing. Like, that's junk. Throw that out. That's not even to a mini. Like, that's
Yeah.
a aftermarket, fuel regulator. Like, what is it? Like, what is that for? We don't know.
Yeah.
And what I remember, it was like, someone was like, that's a Home Depot, like AC, like, thing for a house. Like, you don't need that. Like, what?
For sure. Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like, if you didn't take it apart, who the like some of the stuff, obviously, like all right, that's a brake caliper, but like, what
Yeah.
if it wasn't to the mini? You wouldn't know. Like, who
Mm.
knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. When you acquire somebody else's project, there's always extra stuff. I actually I did that with my S too. I had boxes of parts. I still do. And there
Right.
was like motorcycle bits in there that I was like, what is this? I've never seen this. What is this too? Like, who knows? Is this some super rare S part? They're like, no, man, that's for some shitty Honda motorcycle. Like,
I had a couple
that's
of times
funny.
where the guy that I bought it from sent me a message and said, all those boxes, can you just go through them and see if you've got this bit, please? Because it belongs to a Triumph that I own rather than your Mini. So,
He's probably spent months trying to look for that part, and now he's
yeah,
just
yeah,
got so desperate. He's like, "Oh, I remember where it is now."
yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, it's like, but that's also part of the project, man. If you're working in like a small space, like you said, and like mine, sometimes it's hard to stay organized and
yeah,
have enough room to keep everything organized, and things just start drifting and getting shoved in other places. Or if you had a faff job, you just get pissed and throw it somewhere, and now you don't know where it is. And
yeah,
yeah, so
yeah,
that's cool. But all right, so you kind of started on this project, 77 Clubman. You handed it off eventually just because you wanted to get it moving forward, and it comes back to you. Was it
yeah.
just the happiest day of your life? Was it amazing? Was it everything that you wanted?
It really was. And I remember when I picked it up, I kind of said to the guy that, give me a call and I'll come down and get it. And I had in my mind, I'd kind of built it up that it was going to be this great thing. And obviously, when you do that, there's always the danger that it's going to be slightly disappointing. And he gave me the keys and he said, look, it was on some industrial estate that he worked on. He said, look, just take it down there, drive it forward and back, see what you think. And I just came back with the biggest grin on my face. I just couldn't believe that you could drive something like that on the road. It was just felt nothing like any other car I'd driven. So,
Yeah.
immediately I got it. I thought, yeah, I can understand why everyone gets so excited about these things now.
Yeah, man. 'Cause I remember the first, I think it's on maybe, it's on my Instagram somewhere, but it's also on the Mini Life one because I kind of told the story about it. If you scroll real far back at the beginning, I had a super steep driveway. It's hard to tell in the video, but it was very steep. And I remember the first time I was like, the Mini's not going to make it up this. I don't think it's going to make it up this. And I didn't realize it at the time. It just wasn't timed right. And I just thought it wasn't going to make it up. It just was so steep.
Right.
Finally, I timed it properly and it, flew up. And I was like, oh. And then I just took it around the block. The alignment sucked. But I was like, the same feeling. I was like, how is this real? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just like the most incredible thing ever. And then
Yeah.
I'll never forget too, because I just had got it running good enough to put it on the boat because I was moving back over here to California. And when I got it kind of sorted and registered here, kind of the first real drive, I took it to work. I was like, let's just send it. I
Yeah.
worked pretty close, a few exits down the highway, but I took an exit like one or two before that had this like really hard like long sweeper that no one's ever on. And I was like, I'm just gonna send it. I'm not gonna brake, and I'm just gonna turn. And if we go off the road, we go off the road. And I remember that the car just stuck and turned, and I was like, woohoo! It was just like, this is incredible. Like, what is this thing?
Yeah.
They always say never meet your heroes, but if the Mini is your hero, please do meet it. It's something
Absolutely.
else, man.
Yeah. I mean, my first drive when I picked it up was round a motorway here. We have called the M25. Sean, you know all about that.
Oh yeah,
Mike, if you imagine the 101, but form it into a circle instead, so that everything just backs up into each other. That's the M25. So
Ooh.
yeah,
yeah.
it's nice.
It's hell on wheels, mate. It's dreadful.
Yeah,
Stu, you been on the 101?
I have been on the 101. Yeah,
Yeah, Stu knows. Sean knows. That's my freeway here, Sean, right here. 101,
Well, I'll find
baby.
out in October.
You
yeah,
will. Dang, wow. Yeah, no, I've heard some horror stories about your guys' M whatevers.
yeah.
Side note, my Siri for maps, I have her as a British gal, and so she always says enter the motorway.
Does it really?
Yeah, cracks me up. Actually, my first BMW Mini, the R53, it had the 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 old school GPS system in it, which was also a British voice, and she always said like "Enter the motorway," and everyone thought it was the funniest thing. I did too. It was quite funny. We digress
Excellent.
though, but yeah, man, that's amazing. So you get it back, and it's the time of your life. What did you start kind of modifying it, or was it kind of exactly how you wanted it? Did you already have these parts? Tell us a little bit about the Mini, and what engine, what have you done to it,
Yeah,
and kind of what that's all about.
sure. So it's a 1098. It's got a stage one kit on it. So one of the things when it was built, so Andy down at ML Motorsport, when he kind of handed it over, he said it's running pretty well, but needle probably needs some modification. And AC Dodd is your man, so a guy over here that does a load of mini tuning. So get in touch with him later. So I kind of banked that one to the side while I got on with enjoying the car. But yeah, pretty much. I spent this time as a bit of a parts magpie, I guess, because I didn't have time to work on the car, but I did have time to be sitting browsing the internet and trying to buy things that I liked. And so I ended up with this kind of picture in my head of what I thought I wanted it to look like, and it's kind of I like the kind of cafe racer type thing. So that was ultimately what I wanted to try and put together. And so, watching things like Steve's Motor Co. and so on, and the minis that they put out was great inspiration for that. I looked around at a lot of different wheels. When the car came, the guy was going to put 12s on it, and I can't remember the name of the ones now, but he bought, I think I had 7 or 8 of them. So on the trailer, I had all these wheels because I think he was going to build a trailer with the wheels on and all sorts of other things. But I didn't particularly like them, so I kind of sold those on. Didn't want to put the steels back on because they're the original kind of 4-inch tiny things. So I looked around at different wheels, and the original thing was to go with Revolution ones because I wanted the look of the Mad Hatter that I had back in the day. And so I looked around for those, and as I was browsing for those on eBay, this set of Mambas popped up, and I immediately thought, yeah, that's the ones I want. So the difficult thing with those was because the car was kind of in 1,000 pieces when I got the wheels, I could only kind of mock them up kind of not with much accuracy, and I never really knew how far they were going to stick out. So they're 10x6 wheels, and I didn't really want to run it with arches. So yeah, I think it's worked out okay because it's got drums all round. The fronts kind of are less outboard than the disc ones. So just about get away with what you might call cheeky poke rather than anything else. So I think, strictly speaking, I think if I got a grumpy policeman one day, he might have a word. But on the whole, people are pretty positive about the car, so that doesn't matter.
You can always change it with a little bit of camber, though, can't you?
Good idea. Like it.
Yeah. Honestly, it doesn't look because I was going to ask you, are they Mambas are my favorite wheel, so I love the look of it and the color that you picked. It's like one I've never really seen. Is it color matched to your car?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it looks real nice. But yeah, I was curious that if they were 10x5 or 10x6, they kind of look like 10x6, but they don't poke that much. But that makes sense that they're drums. It looks really good. There's nothing better than an archless Mini. They just, I don't know, something about it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, when I was collecting loads of parts, I originally thought, I will have arches on it, because actually, going back to the start, the whole thing was going to be this Mad Hatter replica, and so that had big kind of like Melia arches on it, huge wheels, and kind of sat really nicely. And I thought if I kind of did that, I'd go down the route of getting someone to print the graphics off and create a proper little replica of it. I think someone may have done it. I've heard someone reference it, but I've never seen photos of it now. But yeah, and then it came just down to color. And when people say to you, you're gonna paint your car, you can have it whatever color you want. That's just the worst thing for a car guy to then sit down and go,
oh my gosh,
sleepless nights.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so lots of time in Photoshop. Green's my favorite color, so I tried a million different greens. Nearly went willow green, but then I kind of thought, it's more of that's kind of a 60s, round nose color or whatever. So I'm not sure how that would work. And then I stumbled across a tweed grey with an old English white roof, and I thought, actually, I love that combination. I think that looks really cool. So, and it was kind of neutral enough to be able to do other things on the car. So I had, again, in my mind what I wanted to do with the interior, and I think having the tweed grey gave a good base to be able to kind of put accessories and stuff against it. So yeah, that's how that ended up looking like it does.
As you were talking, I Googled the Mad Hatter Clubman slot car,
Yep.
and that thing is sick. And I think you did a good kind of homage to that. The tweed gray. I'm assuming this is the one that you had. It was like a bluish color.
That's the one. Yep.
So cool. So that was one of my questions I was going to ask is, what's the significance of your door number 77? Does it have to do with the 7 that's on the Mad Hatter car?
You know what? I hadn't twigged that until afterwards. The 77 is just purely because it's a 77 car. So
okay, that makes sense. Duh.
Pay attention, Mike.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
I was trying to pull a deeper meaning out here, guys. Come on.
Yeah. I'm going to go with that from now on. I'm going to say, but it's got the 7 from the Mad Hatter, and that works well too. So.
Well, because even the font looks very similar, so it's double meaning. I just gave you a double meaning.
It's double meaning.
It is meant to be. See, 77 year, and it's like it's double the size, so there's 2 7s, or something like that. I don't know.
Clutching its jaws there, Mike. I swear.
No, dude, give it, Sean. Give it a goog right now. It's the same thing. It's like the same. You need it. You should add the little Well, this one I'm looking at has a little checker flag next to the 7. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool, and it makes me want slot cars now.
Yeah. No, it's definitely cool. I've got some early photos of mine sitting in the garage, and it's with just as a shell, and I've masking tape stuck an arch on it, and then I've sprayed one of the wings in I think it's called Pageant Blue, which is kind of very similar to that, and I was just standing there trying to mock it up and decide what it was going to look like, but yeah, it took a different direction. I sometimes think back and think, oh, maybe I should have done that, maybe it would have been a bit of a bolder choice and a bit more unique, but then I look at mine again and I'm so pleased with how it ended up, so yeah, that's all good. I'll do that with the next one.
Yeah. Oh, I see that picture that you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, that's a tough choice because yours, in my opinion, looks really good. It's a great color choice. The wheel combo, everything about it. It is like an homage to it. Maybe the next one, like you said, you could go a little bit more wild and really like put the same livery on it with
get the stock car bumpers on the rear as well.
Yeah. That would be kind of cool, but you can't go wrong with the tweed gray. It looks really, really nice. That's a solid color. People, I see people say that a lot. Pick that color a lot when they're like respraying their Mini, and rightly so. It's such a good color. Although, whatever your color, I'm not sure if this was the original color, like that kind of puke green yellowy color the Clubmans had. Is that what was that original
what you're
color?
Referring to there is Harvest Gold.
Is that Harvest Gold? Honestly, that is peak 70s color, man. I would rock the hell out of that. Who's that?
Yeah.
Is you might know the Clubman world. What's it? Is it Turbo Nick? Maybe is that?
Yeah,
with that greenish. Yeah.
Is that the same color? Because that thing looks pretty sick.
It's pretty similar. I'm not sure it's exactly the same one, but yeah, I know the one you mean. His is cool
that's color. I feel like the Clubman needs kind of a funky color sometimes.
Yeah,
especially the purple.
There's a purple?
Oh, there's a good purple. I can't remember the name of the purple.
Purple or purple?
Purple, Mike.
Purple. I've never seen a purple Clubman.
I will send you a photo, and I promise you, it's going to change your world for the better.
You know what changed my world? There's a Rover color. I think it might have been a limited edition purple towards the end, and it looks sweet.
Oh, was that on the sport packs?
I don't know. My buddy has it, and he has like a Honda swap in it. and it looks really nice. I don't know. I forget the name of it. Like Astro, or I don't know. I'm making up shit now.
No, actually, Sean, you mentioned bumpers a minute ago, and that reminded me when I put it together. So the car had been off the road for 10 years. It'd been rebuilt. There's this nice story, the backstory as to how it got back on the road, got it looking exactly as I wanted it. Had a build thread going on the forum, which was, I didn't update it all the time, but I kind of updated it a bit, and people were following it, and posted up the final pictures of it. And I was kind of buzzing about, it's all done. Here you go, guys. It's back on the road. And the first comment was, are you going to be putting a Clubman bumper on that at any point? Because you've got a round nose bumper. Yeah.
What a way to shoot you down.
God dang.
Keyboard warriors at their best. Oh, man. See, that's what I don't miss about forums. At all.
Yeah.
Wait, the front bumper or the rear bumper?
The rear bumper. Yeah.
What's the rear bumper look like?
It's got a very slightly
like
different
a Clubman
profile.
one.
Yeah, so it's got a more of a squared profile around the edges rather than being rounded. But mine's never going to have a Clubman bumper now, out of principle. So it's
I was just gonna say, I'm looking at the pictures and I was like, it kind of looks like but the front I could see. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Who cares? People are just
right.
It's gotta ruin your excitement. Oh man, that's good. Yeah, the interior is really cool too. The plaid kind of looks nice. Looks real nice.
Yeah. So that was a story as well. So as I had the kind of time while I was doing everything else, the one thing that I could do inside was work on the interior. So my wife bought me for one of my birthdays a kind of 2 or 3 day course to go and do interior trimming for cars. And so
that's really cool.
So I did that, set myself up with an industrial sewing machine in the spare room at home, and spent hours kind of producing that interior. So I'm half Scottish, so I wanted tartan as a nod to that. So I kind of trawled through different tartans to try and find one that kind of matched the look I was going for and matched the tweed grey and tied in with all of that. So once I had that, I took that down and used my driver's seat as the kind of the test project that they kick you off with on the course. And so that was good. It was a view to maybe in future career changes and things like that. I thought I'll kind of bank that one away as well. But yeah, I was really, really pleased how it turned out.
Yeah, it looks really
incredible.
good. I always hats off to anyone that does their own interior like that. That's it's a challenge for sure, but that turned out really nice.
Yeah,
I just don't have the patience for that. I feel like I get frustrated. I don't know. I'm like,
give it a go, Mike. Give it. I'll tell you
I want
what,
to be artistic,
let's do it
but I'm
while
like
I'm
not.
October. Let's do it. Why not? Why not?
No.
We can make ourselves a nice little blanket that we can throw on each other's laps when it gets cold during the nights. We'll be fine, Mike.
A blanket I can do. I'm just going to cut out a big square out of fabric.
Cop out.
Stu, I wanted to ask you, I know you've obviously already alluded to it. Your father had minis and stuff like that, but there's a really cool picture on your Instagram of like old film, what's it called? The film negatives or whatever of your dad's old Mini.
Yeah.
How did you find that, or what's the story behind that? That's really cool photo.
Yeah. So he had, prior to that, an Austin Ruby. I don't know if you know what that is, but a proper sort of old vintage looking car with the kind of the wheels outboard. Really kind of early motoring stuff. And that was his first car, and he kind of ran around in that for a bit. He sold that to buy a guitar, actually, because he was in a band at the time. And so that was his first car. He bought the guitar and then saved up. And when he wanted to buy his next car, he had a need to get a Mini. So I can't remember what color it was originally. He resprayed it, or had it resprayed in a kind of a turquoise color. Put a center exit exhaust on it. All sorts of little tweaks that he did to it. He had the I can't remember the name of it now. The grill that has the 2 round spotlights built into the grill. He kind of had one of those put on it.
Ooh, nice.
Those are called oh man, I'm losing.
They're not the Innocenti ones, are they? They're the
no, it's called like a star. It's on the tip of my tongue. Dang it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about though.
But yeah, so he did lots of stuff to it, and yeah, I think there was even a crossover. I think when him and my mum both had minis at one point as well. So and so yeah, he didn't modify hers, but he modified his. And I think always had this kind of thing in the back of his head that that he could relive it one day, and is now kind of reliving it through mine, I guess. So yeah, and it's quite cool to be able, when I'm doing kind of the jobs on the car at the moment, and I kind of talk to him, and he remembers those things and remembers the pain of some of them and all the rest of it. But he's kind of still able to kind of guide me through some of it, which is nice.
I think that's the thing as well. Once you've done it, you will never ever forget how painful a job is on a Mini.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. Lauren was doing something on one of her cars, but it just reminded me. She wrote had a battle with the wire wheel that was on the drill,
yeah. And the screwdriver.
I was like, oh, the screwdriver. I was like, man, that's the worst. I don't remember what I was wire wheeling for my engine, and I just kept nicking my thumb, and I can't. It was just like this brush of blood everywhere. Oh yeah. I have a lot of. I remember one time I was going to a car show car meet early in the morning, and I'd started the car, and something I felt like I wanted to check something under the engine. Rookie move when the car was going, and I went and reached in, misjudged the latch, nicked my finger on the alternator, ripped my finger, like, oh my, it was gushing blood. I wrapped it in those blue automotive paper towels and duct tape, and I just carried on. I was like, I know I don't have any Band-Aids in the house, and
you'll only do that the one time as well.
Oh yeah, I know 100% where that latch is now. You don't start inboard and go out; you start outboard and come in. Oh man, that's the worst. What other plans? Oh, sorry. Go
I was
ahead.
just going to say, worst job recently was the I replaced the cones, and the kind of near side one is just such a pain because obviously over here radiator, and I likened it. I put up a post on Instagram to. I don't know if you remember the story of the guy that escaped from Alcatraz by digging his way out of the cell with a spoon. And it was basically like that because you kind of put your finger and the spanner in, and you could only move it by a tiny amount each time. And so undoing this one bolt took about half an hour, and it was just got there in the end.
Yeah, I had the ratcheting. I was going to say wrenches, ratcheting spanner, and it was just like click, 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 click. It was like maybe one click. Yeah, that job is so bad. Yeah, I think I just saw that post too, and you're like, oh, the guy who said, "Hey, let's have to remove the top arm to get the cones out." LOL. It was such a stupid job, man. Sometimes. Oh,
I know what you mean about the ratchet as well. It's that heartbreak when you do a job and you realise you haven't got one more click left, and you just can't get it enough to do it. It's just,
or you've got too much play in the actual bearing, so it doesn't even do that one click. It's literally just moving like that. That's nothing worse.
Oh, jeez, yeah, not good. That's funny. Anything else? Anything else planned for the Mini? Other projects coming up soon, or any mods that you want to do?
Yeah, so really just want to get back on the back up and running again now. So get back on the road. Obviously, summer over here, lots of shows and things to try and get to. So that's the main target for this year. I think in terms of mods, I don't know. I kind of thought I was going to put a disc kit on the front, replace the drums. It seemed like a sensible thing to do. Again, I spoke to my dad at the weekend, and he went, "Yeah, the drums are fine though. They're always fine. Why aren't they fine now?" So okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see about that. The engine is leaking oil, as they all do, mini tears. So yeah, I need to do something about that, and I've got a horrible feeling that's going to need engine out at some point to sort it out. But at the moment, I'm dealing with it with an oil tray underneath and a top up. So that's my way of dealing with it.
If it's leaking oil, you know you've got some. If it stops leaking oil, you've got problems.
Good. I like the wisdom. Yeah.
Do you know where it's leaking from? Is it something that you could try to fix in the car?
So possibly, yeah. I actually I can't remember if it was. I put a post up on Instagram about it, and I don't know if you've spoken to Tomo's Tune Ups, a guy in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Runs a YouTube channel. Yeah, so he's been great actually, and he got in touch, and he actually recorded a kind of a voice message for me with a whole load of things to check for, and he said, "Here's my videos where you need to look and see, is it these things?" He gave me some tips about throwing talcum powder on various bits of the engine, clean it, put talcum powder on, and then see where it appears, and that sort of thing. So at the moment,
That's a
it
good
could
idea.
be, yeah, could be anywhere. So I haven't started investigating really. So I need to get on that. Yeah,
Save it for the
Yeah.
winter. It's running at the moment. Save it for the winter.
that's very true as well. Yeah.
Chasing down leaks is such a faff. Let me
Yeah.
tell you. When I put my engine back in after I redid the gearbox, man, I don't remember if I told that story, but I'm sure I did. Just chasing the leak. I thought it was the timing cover, so I did that, which is a major faff when it's in the car.
Yeah.
The amount of messages you sent me per day trying to
my
chase this
God,
damn
dude.
leak, honestly.
I was
getting heartbroken for you at this point.
that's Stu. That's the point where the car had a bunch of different names that wasn't
Yeah.
its name. You know. The best part of it though was when I fixed the one leak on the side. There was only a leak on the left hand side of the car.
Yep.
Fixed it, found it after a few tries, 3 weekends in a row. Took it out for a drive, thinking I successful. Parked it. I was at a brewery. I was sending Sean pics of it. Zoomed into the pic, and I was like, "It's leaking again on the other side of the car. It sprung a leak on the other side of the car." At that point, you just have to laugh. You just have to laugh. Like, what? Why do you hate me? Like, what? It was like, why do you hate me? I'm trying to drive you, and you hate me.
It's like when you put your finger in a dam and then the water starts spraying out somewhere else. It's the same.
Yeah. I just couldn't. I didn't. What? Oh, I forgot. I fixed the oil leak. Victory lap. The radiator sprung a leak. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
Dude. It was. I remember. I was like, "Oh yeah, I got this thing going." I was checking, and I was like revving it, like looking in the engine bay, making sure everything was good. And I just kept getting like a mist in my face. It was mist in my face, and I was like, "What the heck is that? It's not raining out." Damn radiator was squirting into the fan, flipping it into my face.
That was a long few months for you, wasn't it?
Oh my god, dude! You can't. Like, you just have to laugh. Like, what are you doing, dude? Oh my goodness, that's
Mine's been pretty good
hilarious.
actually in terms of kind of reliability. I only had one issue so far, and I'm going to touch wood if you're familiar with that expression. Because yeah, I had this one thing where I'd been to a place called Bicester Heritage over here, which is it's a really
It's
cool
like
old
near Worcestershire, I think.
it's that direction. Yeah. It's up near Oxford, and it's an old RAF base basically, and it's now being utilised as lots of small businesses that are all kind of car focused, and lots of things are based there, and they do sort of apprenticeships for body work and all sorts of really good shops there. There's motorsport things, and they had a mini day up there, so I took the car up, drove back, and everything was absolutely perfect. Had a really good day, kind of parked up, and my daughter was having a guitar lesson the next day. And because the Mini was kind of at the front of the driveway, I said, "It's fine, we'll take that. It's a nice sunny day. Let's go in that." And she's like, "Oh, really? Sure? Can't we just go in the normal car?" I said, no, it's all good. It's all good. And we got about halfway there, and it just died and cut out and rolled to the side of the road. And I thought, "Oh, no." So I popped the bonnet, and all that I could see under there was the oil cap was missing. There was oil sprayed all over the underside of the bonnet. And I thought, this is really weird. What's happened here? And so basically couldn't get it started again, couldn't work out what it was. A friend of mine had to tow me home. He's got a BMW X3, so for one time in its life, it was a BMW powered Mini. And he dropped me home. I put it away, and then went back to it a few days later. Kind of went through all the electronics, trying to work out what it was, and in the end, it was a spade plug came off
Oh
the connection
no.
between the distributor and the coil, and
Yeah.
that was it. And so literally, if I just done that on the day, it would have solved all the problems. But it wouldn't have let me spot the problem with the oil cap, and I just couldn't work out what happened with that. And when it wasn't running, because the oil cap was on, I was telling myself all these theories about, it's crankcase pressure, maybe because the oil cap's not on. That's the problem. It's not. No, it wasn't that. It was the spade plug. But about 6 months later, when I was replacing the cones, I jacked it up, pulled the cone out and from underneath, and the high-low dropped out. And also what dropped out was my oil cap, which before I'd gone to Vista, I'd filled up with oil and then just left it on the top of the engine. And it had sat there until halfway up the motorway when it had just fallen off, kind of got caught up in some belts by the state of it because it was all in bits. And then it landed somewhere down on the subframe. So, lesson learned there, I think.
Yeah, I'll bet.
I did that one time. Yeah, I dropped my or I left my oil cap on, like on the side somehow after I filled it up too, and I have the metal one, and it boom, like loud clank. I was like, oh like what? Like my engine just fell out.
Yeah.
I get out. I'm like, I was like, hey, where's my oil cap? Oh man, it was tumbling down the road somewhere. Wow. Hey, that's funny. Easy enough fix. Something similar like that happened to me one time, and you always think like, what's going on? You think something's crazy, like you're going crank, and I was like changing fuses and this and that, and then it was like literally the connection from the ignition to like the main harness was like not clicked in properly. I was like, oh, stupid. Oh man, Stu, you want to do a little Patty probe?
Let's do it. Sounds good.
Man, we still need to do some Patty probe music.
I keep forgetting about that.
I
We
know,
really do need something.
We need some sort of like game show music. Just something quick, just a little
I'm wondering if any of our listeners actually does create music, because if they do, please get in touch, because we'd love to get some game music for the Paddy Pro questions.
We need some non-copyrighted music. Who can do that for me? Because if not, it's going to be like me singing or something.
Or AI.
And I know people. Ooh, that's a good point. AI Haktua.
It's like your best friend AI, isn't it?
Chat GPT, here I come. Let's see. Question number 1. What is your least favorite mini variant and why?
This is funny. So I was listening to, and I can't remember the name of the chap, a guy in Northern Ireland that was on the podcast with you guys a little while ago. And as I was sat there, and this was after I knew I was coming on here, I sat and listened as he went through all of my answers. All of them. So I've had to have a bit of a rethink. I would have gone with Shorty had I gone with the original one, and that's only just because I don't get it. It's a passion about, everyone likes to be different. All the rest of it's a talking point, but I just don't get it. But the one that I've gone with as my backup was, I get Mokes. I'm not a huge Moke fan, but I can get, in the right circumstance, they're the greatest thing. Driving around Monaco in one of those would be amazing. Driving around somewhere in the middle of London in the rain, less so. So, but I get Mokes. What I don't like is, I think it's called a Scamp. Don't know if you've seen one of those.
Yes, my old head teacher had one of those.
Okay,
a Scamp.
It was like a kit car base to make it look like a Moke. I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bit.
Yeah,
I don't mind offending anyone. I was going to say it's a bit like a pound shop Moke, but I won't say that because that offends them.
It's pretty ugly. It kind of looks like a VW thing crossed with like a Moke. Yeah, it's pretty ugly. Okay. Yeah. Whoa, this one's real ugly. What the heck is that? Man,
Mr.
there's
Brown,
some
if you
weird
are listening,
ones.
I am really sorry about this.
Is that your teacher?
Yep, and it was actually British Leyland Brown as well that he painted it.
Oh, so it looked like a big old turd.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, there's. I mean, oh, this one's lifted. That's yeah. All right.
There's a
Okay.
lifted
Ooh,
one.
ooh. This one's real ugly. This one is slightly lifted, and it looks like it has like a Riley Elf grill on it. Ooh, man. Yeah, some of these are real ugly. Also, there is something apparently called a scamp, and it's like a little mini fiberglass trailer. That looks kind of cool. A little
Okay,
camping trailer. So maybe
nice.
that's pretty cool. All right, I agree
Scamp.
with that. I agree with both of those answers. Scamp's pretty ugly, and the Shorty Mini is also a weird flex. I've never really understood that one at all, but okay, cool. Let's see here. Let's see. What should we go with? I'm trying to change it up.
What
I
haven't
usually
we done
go
in a while?
here, right here. All right, here we go. We haven't done these two in a while. Let's start with this one. Mini hot takes. Share a hot take or controversial opinion about minis or the mini community.
Apart from my hatred of scamps, which are just going to move on from that. It's got to be the forum thing. It's got to be and I don't think this is necessarily unique to minis. I know in certain classic car communities it is something that's rife, but it is just that it's your car. You've done what you want to it. You've made it how you want it. Just give people respect for what they've got and don't kind of pick holes and stuff because it's not original or it's not as it left the factory. And as we know, these things, no two minis probably left the factory the same back in the day anyway. So yeah,
Right.
I'd go with that, I think.
Yeah.
I'm going to be fitting an SW10 cam to my 1275. Why would you want to do that? No, I fully get it. It drives me out the wall. It's like, who cares? Just give them a good answer and move on with your life.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Or if you don't want to give a good answer, don't give an answer at all.
Exactly.
But it's really frustrating though when people post a picture of their freshly built Clubman and they have a round nose bumper on the rear. Like, what loser? Who would do that?
I'm just here for the comments.
Insert Michael Jackson eating popcorn.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So on a brighter note, then, this is a tough question. What makes the Mini so unique? Like what makes it kind of surpass the other cars and what makes it so special? Kind of what's that it factor that it has?
I would say one of the things is it is completely classless. I reckon, and that was the case back in the day. Where you had royalty driving around in them, or you had people using it as their everyday car, and all the rest of it. And even today, you kind of you park a load of them together. You don't know the background of anyone that's got them, but everyone seems to have this kind of shared passion for them.
Yeah.
So I think that classlessness is definitely a big thing about it. And then it's just the fun. I mean, like I said, when I first drove mine, could not believe. Everyone said, "Oh, it's like a go-kart." Yes, it is like a go-kart. It is literally like a go-kart, and it handles like nothing else. So I've had different sports cars and things over the years, and none of them have put as big a grin on my face as that little Mini does. So yeah, I go with that.
That's a good answer. That's a solid answer.
Yeah, especially the classless one that's a great point that I don't really think about, but yeah, back in the day when they came out, it was a car for the people, but then you had rock stars and royalty and everyone and their mother driving it, which was super cool to see.
Absolutely.
Because we talked to a lot of people who say, hey, it was our family car, but you got the Beatles driving them and whoever the other famous people that were driving them, but that's a really good answer. I like that. Interesting. It's an interesting question to think about.
Just to go back on the classes thing, I'm probably going to get hated on this, but I kind of feel like it's with the new minis as well. You've got a lot of people driving the R50s, 55s, etc., through the line, and it doesn't matter if people are struggling or people are actually fairly well off. Everyone's still got a mini. Everyone still has minis.
Yep.
Except for the only famous person I know that has a mini or did, was T-Pain.
Did he really?
Yeah, you don't remember that song? He was rolling
No.
on. No, he was like, what's the lyric of one of his songs? He's Mini Coop sitting on dubs.
Oh, dude, you're gonna have to send me this after. I've got
What?
to listen. I've got to listen to this.
Dude, T-Pain, I love. Oh, I don't really like rap, but when T-Pain hit the scene, game over. T-Pain goes hard. He actually has a fantastic voice. T-Pain's a drifter now. He's a
Yeah,
drifty boy.
yeah, him with her.
T-Pain is real cool. But
Mm.
yeah, Mini Coop sitting on dubs. Yeah, Mini in general has always been a interesting car. When I worked at the Mini dealership here, you're right, Sean. I mean, I sold Minis to rich ass dudes that came in and bought cash,
Mm-hmm.
like the most expensive JCW, and then I sold to little 80-year-old ladies with pink hair. Like I sold it to everybody. It's like a a big array of people. There's no like Mercedes has its kind of clientele and
That's
that kind
it.
of stuff. It is a really interesting unique car. I think it's the fun factor, and everyone has that fun in them, whether they want to admit it or not, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to think back to the age of the oldest new Mini now is what 20, 23, 24 years old. So
Yeah, it
Yeah.
came out
those
in
are now at a price
2002.
point, right? So those are now at a price point where they are kind of genuine first car or cheap car kind of thing. But you
Yeah,
look at them, actually, a well presented one of those looks just as good as the latest one. So
Yeah, they've
so
yeah,
yeah,
aged well.
yeah.
yeah, yeah. They are. They have a lot. Um, we're gonna roll with this one too. This is a good question too. You got some good answers, Stu. We haven't asked this one in a while, I think. What is a common misconception or myth about minis that bother you, or something that you would change?
Bothers
That's a
me.
tough one.
It
We're
is a tough
throwing
one.
all the
Yeah,
tricky ones at you.
because I can think of kind of obvious things like the size of the car. So people would automatically say, "How can you drive that? How can you get in that
Mm.
thing? What you're taking more than one other person in with you? That type of thing." Whereas actually, it's got a massive amount of space inside. So maybe I will go with that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I genuinely kind of amazes me how much space you have in the back of one of those compared to we have a Skoda Yeti as our kind of family car, and it's not much bigger than the Mini in terms of legroom and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess the size thing, the misconception about that would be it.
Yeah, that's a good one too. I always have that as a talking point at shows or meets or whatever. They're like, "Oh, that's so small." I was like, "Actually,
Mm.
Sir Alec Isagonis moved the wheels to the outside of the car, and X amount of percentage of the inside is usable space for a family of 4 and luggage." And they're like, "What?" And I was just like, "You're a weirdo, dude." Like,
Yeah, you're such an anorak, Mike.
if I didn't have fixed bucket seats, a lot of the guys that are 6'5", they're like, "Oh, I would never fit." And I always say, sit in it, but the bucket seat thing is a tricky one. If I
Hang,
had regular seats,
wait, your bucket seats don't move. You can't move them forwards or backwards.
no, I have them fixed. I mean,
How
they rock up
how
if
tall are you?
5'7".
Oh, we might be all right. We might be
Yeah,
fine.
you're
Okay.
fine. Yeah, you're fine.
I thought I was gonna have to bring my heels with me.
we'll put you on a donut, like a little booster seat. No, it's a perfect length.
Oh,
You're
sorry
you're
then.
just you're about my height, so you'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
I'm not changing it for you, so.
Oh,
All right, Stu, we'll end with this one. If you could have a drink, coffee, beer, tea, drink of your choice with one mini celeb, who would it be?
So this was the other stolen question because I was going to go with Nick Swift, having seen him race at Goodwood lots, and then seen lots of stuff with him doing rides where he gives people passenger rides and stuff, and just seems like a really kind of laid back mini enthusiast, knows the stuff inside out. Bet he's got some great stories to tell in terms of racing as well. So I would probably stick with that. But there is another racer who I follow on Instagram, a guy called Nick Padmore. Really, really respected racing driver, has had great success, races a lot of classic racing. He races in mini Melias. again, I think just because of that, would have lots of good stories to tell about motorsport. And so yeah, I'll put the pair of Nicks in there.
Ooh,
Good answer.
nice.
That's
Like
a
that.
good answer. I love that question. There's always something new I learned from that. Both of those sound like a great great people to have. Yeah, I mean, if anyone knows somebody at SwiftTune, I'm still trying to get a hold of them. I had somebody on the horn. I was emailing back and forth. We were trying to get Nick Swift on. He was down, but I think that guy no longer works there because the emails bounce back. So somebody, let's get that rolling. We want him on. So, awesome, man. Stu, thanks for being on. Anything else for the people? Go follow Funkybear_mini on Instagram to follow his journey.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, no, thanks for that. And I tend to put up obviously stuff about my Mini and jobs that I'm doing. I also I go to lots of events. I was down at Goodwood again this morning, so posted up a load of different Minis. Nice to see different ones every now and again. But I also do post up other car stuff as well on there. So it's not just Mini stuff, but yeah, kind of passionate about all cars really. So yeah, please do follow.
Give him a follow. Go follow us, minilife.37. You can follow me at Goldtooth Cray. That's Cray with a K. Have I told that story before? What that is? Cray, the Cray
You might have
twins.
done. A couple
The
times.
Cray twins.
A few
Cray
times,
twins?
in fact. Yeah.
People ask me that, and then they like don't know what it is.
I think we done it like very early on.
Very early. The Cray twins, the Reggie and Ronald Cray from the old British gangsters. But anyways, Goldtooth Cray, that's what that means. Scrapyard, that's because he's a pile of heap of pile. And
Thanks, Mike. Happy birthday to you, man. I'll let you off this time because it is your birthday.
How do I get my cupcake?
Well, I don't know. You should have figured that out.
This is bullshit, dude. You give me a cupcake, I can't even eat it.
I mean, it's still sitting here. It might be a little bit waxy now, but
Look how many candles you put in that.
I couldn't fit 36 on, so.
That's funny. That's funny. I appreciate that. Follow at Scrapyard, minilife.37, Mountain Classic, and I will catch you guys on the next one.
See you later. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.